Welcome to another episode of the Contagious Culture Podcast. I am your host, Kyle King, and the goal of this podcast is to help you create an ecosystem of academic excellence. For the last few weeks, we've been continuing to build upon the 4 stages of fundraising. Last week, we talked about creating awareness and attracting stakeholders. The first week, the week prior to that, we talked about activating your development. And the week before that, we really just broke down all 4 of the stages of really being able to fundraise and really being able to develop a development team so that you can advance a lot of your initiatives forward. Today, we're going to continue to build upon that with stage 3, which is crafting the value ask. And we're going to talk about a multitude of steps that get you closer to the yes, get you closer to the check, get you closer to the sponsorship, get you closer to the partnership that you don't just need as a school, but that you're actually proud of. Before we get started, I want to lead us into the question of, Kyle, what does this life cycle of a donor look like? And by definition, the life cycle of a donor is similar to the life cycle of anything. It's the steps and the stages that your donor goes through. And there's 3 major themes or major steps that the donor goes through from acquisition to stewardship. So in the acquisition step, there's 3 critical subtopics where we have awareness, which would be the initial step, where there's the initial introduction to your cause from events, from social media, from friends, and from various forms or outlets that we discussed last week in creating awareness and driving traffic. Number 2 is consideration. This is where donors are curious and want to seek more information about what you do, who you are, what your school is doing, as well as some of the initiatives that you're running that may be in alignment with them as an individual or them as a professional. Then under the acquisition portion, we have decision, which is the most critical part because that will then lead us into another step. But the decision is where they begin to resonate with your cause and they choose to support you. Now, in the decision stage, it's not just supporting you from a financial sense. This may be supporting by showing up to events. This may be speaking on a platform or on a panel. This may be allowing your students to come visit their business or their organization. This may be them partnering you with another community organization or connecting you. This is a point where they're beginning to think about you in their professional environments or networks as well. But as we turn the corner, the second stage of this life cycle of a donor is retention. And this stage is super important because in the retention stage, there's engagement and then they become a loyal supporter. The engagement looks like the ongoing support and building a relationship with you and your specific institution. As that relationship is forged, they become a loyal supporter and begin to give regularly, whether it's give regular gifts, give time regularly, and that could be on a monthly, a quarterly, or an annual basis. We had a specific donor that worked with us that sponsored a winter break reading camp for students. They sponsored a luncheon for the school. They would donate computers to the school. And all of this were small sponsorships that then led to them partnering with another organization and being willing to sponsor a 6-figure donation to being able to build out the football stadium. So it's various little steps and little engagements and little supports by keeping them engaged throughout your process that then lead them to the point of stewardship. Now, stewardship is where we want all of our donors and all of our community members to be. This first stage of stewardship is they're an advocate and they're actively promoting your cause. They're introducing new supporters. They're introducing new opportunities to your institution. And then once they become an advocate, how we grow them to a major donor is that's when people start to give significant contributions to the school. This is where they may want to sit on a board. This is where they're advocating for you publicly through media campaigns or even having a corporate giving program. And when we think about this life cycle of a donor, there's three major components that even get us to that perspective. From moving someone to a place where they're unaware, similar to what we talked about last week, to the point where they are giving significantly and they are a major donor. These three stages, these three components are confidence, competence, and character. Confidence, competence, and character. Now let's break down confidence. It is important to be able to ask for money confidently. But it's more important to be clear, convicted, and prepared before we even ask for money. What I mean by clear and clarity is to be first clear in what we're trying to do as an institution. What is the cause that we're leading? What is the potential problem that we're solving? What is the specific way that we're solving this problem creatively or innovatively? What do we do better than other schools? And how can I be very clear and concise to the point where if I was communicating this to an 8-year-old or an 8th grader, they would be able to understand it the same way an 80-year-old would be able to understand. The second step to being able to show up more confidently is to be convicted. Conviction in anything is important. And I think what's helped me so often with building relationships with companies and corporations for schools is the conviction, is this belief, this deep desire to not just connect them with schools, but to really see the change in education. As a former educator, board member, assistant principal, teacher, I really believe in what schools can do for our communities and for our world. And I truly believe if we better equipped, educate, and empower students, we will truly be able to transform our world. I truly believe that. So when I'm talking to people in the community and I'm sharing various things that the schools are doing that we're partnering with as an organization, that passion, that conviction bleeds over into them where it's contagious, and it creates a culture of belief where now they want to join me in this charge to campaign to better this school, to better this community, and to be able to create better outcomes. The third step to what allows us to be more confident, and I've learned this over the years being an athlete, is preparation. Kobe Bryant, one of my favorite players of all time, said something years ago, and he said that I don't necessarily show up nervous to a game or to practice because I was prepared. And he believed that preparation minimizes the nerves that we specifically have in a multitude of situations. And I believe the same thing. If we understand the school, if we understand the problem, if we understand the objections, the frequently asked questions, if we understand our demographic and we understand our donor, if we've done our research, done our homework, we're showing up with conviction, we're clear in our messaging, we're clear on our vision statement, we understand where we're going and why this is important and who's on our team and all of these various concepts, then there's no excuse and there's no way that we wouldn't be able to get to a point where we're able to sell confidently with conviction. Okay. The second stage, when we think about confidence, competence, and characters, competence is this ability and this skill to sell. Now, I recognize that everybody doesn't like sales. I also recognize then that sales can be taught through 4 major skills. Number 1 is selling is not about talking, it's about listening. Being able to listen to what is not being said, but also being able to listen to what is being said so that I can understand that person's priorities, their challenges, their pain points, what it is that they want, where it is that they want to use or grow their money, all of these various things that are most important to this specific person that we're in front of or engaging with. active listening is more important than us just sharing, because by the time we're able to share, we should have already been able to listen so that we can reframe what was communicated to us and then be able to give it back to that individual as a value proposition. The second stage would be product knowledge, which is ultimately most important as well. Product knowledge is critical because what this will allow us to do is when people are asking us questions, or even when we're positioning value and communicating to them, this shows that we know the product. This shows that we understand how this product aligns with their problems or what they're trying to do. And this shows that we're prepared and we've done our homework. What this also reminds me of is if you go to a car dealership and you're in the market for a new car, you want to trade in your car. Imagine going to a Mercedes dealership or a Toyota dealership, and you're asking the individual about cars or what's comparable and prices, and that individual is like, oh, well, let me check my notes, and well, hold on, let me look up you're not gonna want to do business with that individual. It's the same thing when you don't understand your school's initiatives or your school's problems that they're solving, or the solutions that you guys are creating, or all of these various components that you need to pitch to this individual. On top of that, once you understand your product knowledge and once you're listening attentively and actively, now it's focusing on repositioning value. So, John, I understand that giving is super important to you. I recognize that you want to give to campaigns that are focused on STEM. You want to be able to do X, Y, Z. Does that sound correct, John? Yes. So would you consider one of the initiatives that we have coming up in the new year is being able to help 10 students have coding certifications? Would you consider giving $1,000 to this campaign, and then being able to mentor these students on professional development as they're going through the program? And then just pause. So it's short, it's super off the dome, but what that allows me to do is it understands the product, it understands what's important in John, but then it also allows me to be able to position value so that it can connect with what is most important from a time capacity, human capital capacity with that individual that I'm talking to. And then the last step is you got to practice. Practice makes, I'm not going to say perfect. Practice makes you better, okay? One of the things that has helped me and that I've recommended for teams to do is to sell to students and to come up with your pitch, to do your presentation, and to do it in front of students at your school. And one of the reasons why is because students, one, will ask a lot of questions. Students, two, will tell you what it is. And student three, they will be just completely honest. And if you can keep a student engaged, if you can be able to get through some of the objections of the students, if you can be able to set the stage with students, I believe that there will be any donor out there that will be able to stay engaged and you'll be able to pitch confidently. Leverage the students and then allow them to see how you all are preparing, to see the seriousness in what you're doing, to see why this is important to the students as well, so that they can be educated on this, so if they can communicate to parents or specific stakeholders in the community. It's about doing things the right way, okay? And that's why character is super important when we're looking at sales. It's about understanding, hey, if this is not a good fit, being able to communicate that directly. If it's communicating something that's out of the scope of what you all are willing to commit to, or something that you just can't commit to or can't do, or out of alignment of mission, it's about being able to step away. It's about doing what's right, not just doing what's necessary to cut checks and be able to generate income for your specific school community. So character, competence, and confidence. Confidence, competence, and character are important. Here's a strategy that I want you to remember. Where can we create a quick win strategy that we can always sell in the community? What is something that we can always go to? If I meet somebody in an elevator, what is something that I can go to that I'm always able to say that is impactful that you've done, but also is marketable to a potential donor that you may be talking about? One thing that we've done at a school that I engage with is we had the opportunity of collecting almost 20,000 books and we spread them out across 3 campuses to be able to increase students' literacy scores and be able to open libraries in these individual schools, small frame libraries. And so every time I would be having I would have a conversation in this general local area, I would say one of the initiatives that we just ran is we finished a book drive, and we working and engaging with our community partners, raised almost 20,000 books within 3 months, working with parents collectively. We want to be able to have you support us on our next initiative. Would you consider supporting us in this way? Boom. So it's something that I can go to. It's value stacked, where it's showing the value in it. And then it's also a clear ask to be able to say, hey, I want you to support me in the future. They're probably going to follow up with, just let me know how you want me to support. But now it'd be important for you to be prepared and say, I want you to support me in this way in the future. What is a good time to follow up so that I can be able to explain or present more information to you? These are the conversations that you're going to have to get comfortable having. And the more that we do them, the more that we practice them, the more that we prepare for them, the better off they will be when it's time to be able to present them to other people. Now, what is the process? Once you have your donor, once you have them in front of you, do I have a presentation? Do I talk about all the great things that we've done? There's a multitude of ways that you could, they say it's multiple ways that you can skin a cat. There's multiple ways that you could be able to do this work. Number one is I definitely believe that you need some form of a presentation. What this could look like is your school story. You're highlighting a specific problem. You're talking about your specific solution. You're talking about opportunities for donors to engage, whether it's mentorship. It could be, all right, mentorship and interviewing and job shadowing, in-kind sponsorship or donation, like equipment for sports or classrooms, or financial donations as well, contributions. So you want to be able to provide opportunities and kind of a track for your donors to be able to go. And then who's the team? And this is where we talk about advancing or activating your development team. This is where we talk about specific key team members and why it's important, because people, yes, will invest in people, but they're also investing in your team of individuals as well. So if you have team members that are experts in these specific fields, then it's important to be able to showcase them as well. And then practice and rehearse. I would, again, do these presentations to students. I would do these presentations to as many possible people as you can, because that's going to help you prepare. Another component that I would put on a presentation is, what is the value of your organization? Do you have a service learning program? Are you connected with government officials? Have government officials or community members come to your school? Do you have a school speaker series? Have you ran specific initiatives like a book drive, or donating to kids, or gifts, or a can drive, or a food drive that have helped nonprofits or homeless shelters? What have you done that you can be able to talk to and talk through as well? Again, when we look at crafting anything, and I mean anything, it's important that you showcase value. It's important that you do it with confidence, competence, and character. It's important that you understand the person that you're talking to. It's important that you focus on how to get them from acquisition to stewardship. It's important that you're asking more questions rather than just giving more answers. It's important that you show up with clarity, conviction, and preparation. And if we have all of these specific steps, then we're going to be prepared to be able to ask somebody or have them consider supporting your initiative or supporting your school. It's another episode of the Contagious Culture Podcast, and we'll see you guys next episode.